Welcome to another finals edition of the Shooters Brawl, basketball media brand made by fans for the fans. I'm your co-host, D-Swizzle. And tonight, get excited. Heat fans all over the world, get excited. I'm here tonight with Coach Lloyd. How you going, Lloyd?
That's Wiz. Afternoon, mate. How you going?
Yeah, pretty good, mate. We love some competition, don't we?
I mean, it was a nice day in Sydney. It heated up, and it was going to be. It's an omen.
It is. How about them Heat? Great Game 3 performance after, they got beat down in Game 2. Deservedly so. They gave up boards. They were soft on the inside. Mind you, they were injury depleted. But we'll get to, we'll touch base on Game 2. But let's focus on today's game, because today's game was, backs against the wall. You never want to go down 3-0 in any series, let alone an NBA Finals series. And the Heat today, carried by Jimmy Butler, 40.3, triple-double, 40 points, 11 rebounds, 13 assists, to go with 2 steals, 2 blocks. I mean, I'm a fantasy head. Those are incredible fantasy stats right there, man. It's incredible. Great game.
It's a great game. I mean, and Miami came out with that big, 1-2 punch to start with. They just came out and were just aggressive from the get-go. So the same as Game 1. They came out hot. They sort of slowed a little bit when they started making some subs. But, again, today they sort of built that nice early run and momentum, and then they just carried it through those quarters. I mean, Lakers did get ahead at some points, but I never felt that watching it that the Lakers were going to get on top. I just didn't feel it.
Yeah, look,
it was too hot in there. It was too hot.
That's it. And let's talk about Jimmy Butler, because he played a phenomenal game, and he's been playing great throughout the series. But today's game, given his stats, it went beyond the numbers. It was his leadership, and we touched on this on a previous recent finals episode about Jimmy Butler being too passive and giving up the shot, whereas today it looked like he was aggressive, went to the hole, got to the free throw line, made many free throws today just to punish the Lakers for their defensive efforts. So it was quite a game from Jimmy. What stood out for you in his play today?
The fact that he was aggressive in quarters 1, 2, and 3. Everyone says that he's the fourth quarter man, but I feel like he built that 40-point performance over 4 quarters. He was able to be like that. And Coach Spoelstra just did a fantastic job. Every time he was out of the game, and Lakers was like, they're going to make a run, boom, he comes straight back in to counter. So for him today, it was just his 4-quarter performance, and that's what he did. Yeah. He was great from all 4 quarters, and he shot the ball at a great clip. I think at one stage he was 12 for 16. That's phenomenal. Yeah. Because everything was in the paint, he was aggressive, and he felt like no one could guard him. Not 1 through 5 for the Lakers could guard him.
Well, he ended up with 14 of 20. That's 70%. He shot 12 of 14 from the free throw line. Again, touching on his aggressive nature and getting to the free throw line, which is all important because it's 3 points if you could make your free throws, and he's always been a good free throw shooter. And it was just interesting, his post-game interview he did with Rachel Nichols, where he was talking about how, the Lakers, he said, they can be beat, we belong here. And, his mindset was to win, and he didn't care about the triple-double. All he wanted to do was get the win, because it was a very, very vital win. He would have almost given them no shot, that is the Heat, no shot of winning the championship if they would have gone down today. But they didn't. And I mean, the interesting stat here is, only 4 times previously in finals history has a team won the championship going down 2-0. So it is quite interesting. The last team to do it, the 06 Heat. So the stars are aligning a little bit there. So well done to the Heat today. Played a played a good game. Yeah, you look there to Jimmy's supporting cast, and they all played well too, in parts. Olenek had another strong game, 17 points. This backed up his in game 2. Kelly hits 24 points,
24.
9 rebounds and 2 assists, and he was again a offensive person that the Heat relied upon, and they need to rely upon these people. How do you find Kelly's play over the last two games?
Yeah, look, he's been phenomenal. Bam being out, Bam's a different dynamic to Olenek. Olenek likes to step out and shoot threes, put the ball on the floor and create and stuff like that. He's quite good at that. Bam's just sort of, Bam gets in the middle, finishes at the rim, and there's a different dynamic. But Olenek and staff today, they were great. I mean, all the supporting guys did a great job. And they were more physical today. You see little niggle things from like Hero, Duncan Robinson, Olenek, different guys getting in and niggling. They needed to stand up and not cop it from the Lakers, and they did that today, and they were really good at it. Yeah, there was a couple of scenarios where there's drives or end of quarter time scenarios. I think there's one with Caruso. He's dribbling the ball up the half court, and he sort of is in the line of Duncan Robinson. Duncan Robinson didn't move, and he bumped him straight out of the way. The physicality was there for Miami today. They took it back to them, and that's why they were able to get on top.
And that's been their play through the regular season and into the playoffs. And it was just surprising that they didn't bring that in the first game in particular. The second game, understandably so, given them being short in personnel. But otherwise, it was good to see the Heat playing that defensive basketball, that aggressive nature basketball. It was a good showing by them. And again, I'm quite impressed by the rookie, Tyler Hero.
Tyler Hero.
Again, in double points today, 17 points today. So he keeps putting those buckets, the walking bucket, right from day one.
Bucket. I mean, he must have brought a really good person to the bubble to help him along.
Yeah, and Jimmy pushes him obviously. So yeah, there's that.
And they're good together. They're great together.
That's it.
My favorite point of the day was that Jimmy Butler's walking past. They're in trouble.
Yeah,
they're in trouble, and that's a big point to make, to say that they're in trouble.
Yeah,
and to say it to LeBron.
Yeah, and there's that swagger, isn't it? That been missing. But yes. Jimmy's always been able to talk the talk, and majority of the time back it up and walk the walk. And I'm glad he did today, because it was a stellar performance. I mean, even last game, he 25. Went and 25, 8 rebounds, 13 assists. He's been playing a all-round game to help this team. He's basically LeBron for Miami. But we touched upon this on previous episode, where he needs to be aggressive. He needs to continue to look for his shot, because often in the first 2 games, he just diverted, and I think he spent more time trying to get other players their shots and get them more involved. Whereas I think they found the blueprint here. I mean, if they're still going to be missing Dragic, and if they're still going to be missing Bam for the next game, Jimmy's got to keep doing Jimmy things like Jimmy did today, and he's got to put up the 40 points. He needs to, just to give the Heat a shot.
I agree. And then they didn't beat the Bucks, for no reason. They have a blueprint of how to win games and how to beat the big boys. So, and they can do it. Now, if they're going to go away, watch film, and do all those sort of things for their next game, they better be ready in quarter 1 that they don't let Anthony Davis score the first 15 points or get 15 in the first quarter, because that's going to be a chase-up for them. So if the Heat, which was on right now, if the Heat continue on and start really well, I mean, it builds their confidence for the rest of the game. Yeah. And it starts with the Jimmy buckets. I always thought about Jimmy for this Heat team, that he lets other guys get going and gets them hot, and he sort of like cruises in the background, and then in the fourth quarter he comes around and pulls your pants down. But today it was him, and he was leading the charge. He took Miami to war, and they won this battle, which was great. Great to see.
Yeah, it is great to see that they're only one game behind the Lakers. Now let's focus in on the Lakers' performance. Davis went missing today. Some of it to do with foul trouble, but he ended up with 15 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals, shooting 6 of 9, but he only shot nine times. It's
9 field goals. It's not enough.
That's not enough for what could be, a top 3 player in the league. The Lakers certainly need him to shoot more and put in a performance like Game 2, where he had 32 points, 14 rebounds, and an assist, where he dominated that game. No one could stop him. It was just the Lakers didn't look anything like the Game 2 Lakers today.
Yeah, they didn't look engaged from the start. That sort of same as the last series with Denver. It was this same game that they just looked like they were just going to walk through and they were going to win it. And once they got the 1-2 punch to start, it sort of, this isn't supposed to happen. It's like, well, yes, it's going to happen. It's the NBA Finals. You're playing for a championship here. And also, Miami want to make this a thing where they don't have to go back to Miami and their families in 4 games. They don't want to leave the bubble early. They want to go back with the Larry O'Brien trophy. They just want to take that with them. So it's not like the Miami's going to lay down, but the Lakers just look lethargic and just uninterested today. And it just shows by, like, Davis taking 9 field goal attempts and 2 of them are threes. Yeah. So 7 field goal attempts over 4 quarters from paint or otherwise. That's definitely not enough. And foul trouble, well, he put himself in foul trouble. When he picked up the 4th one, that's his own fault.
Yeah, I mean...
He did that.
That's right. And, he didn't start well. First quarter, 2 fouls in the first quarter. Yep. He had 0 shot attempts and 4 turnovers. I mean, if you could frame a really bad quarter in play, that would be it, wouldn't? That would be
worse. That would be worst on ground. That would be you'd be aiming for worst on ground. You could present him with that at quarter time.
Yeah. Look, let's go through the contributors for the Lakers. I mean, the King will always put up his numbers. He's greatness personified. Today, 25 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists, and 2 blocks. Similar numbers to Game 2, where he poured in 33 points, 9 rebounds, and 9 assists on almost 30-point triple-double there. But LeBron played well today. It was just he was lacking that second punch, that 1-2. Yeah, that's it. And AD went missing today. Kuzma poured in 19, but it felt like a hollow 19.
Rondo, same as Markieff as well.
Yeah.
It felt like a hollow 19. Like they just seemed to generate quick. When they made runs, they poured it on. But when the fight back was on for Miami, those guys missed, and it hurt them a lot.
Yeah. No, look, I'm surprised that the Lakers have let Miami have a sniff. I'm really surprised that, the first 2 games, they knew they were on top. They knew that the Heat had some injuries. All the time, the Lakers appear to be playing bully ball all the time. Bully ball in all regards, the way they talk to the refs to try and influence, calls, whether on purpose or not, but it's the veteran savviness right there, trying to get into refs' ears. But they basically had the Heat on their knees, and today's game brought the Heat to life. Now, the question I've got for you, Coach, is down 2-1. Do the Heat have a serious shot at beating the Lakers?
Of course they do. Again, I go back to what I said before. They beat the Bucks, the best team in the NBA, best record.
Yep.
We're going phenomenally in the bubble and in the first round. That's no small feat to beat the Bucks to get there. So, I mean, it's going to be a thing where Miami are going to get back to 2-2, and then it may turn on for the Lakers. But they don't need that. But I think Miami can do it. They have the roster, they have the grit, they've got the guys that do the dirty work.
Yeah.
You have your Crowder, you have your Iguodala, with Robinson and Hero and Olenek today standing up and doing a little bit more physicality and doing a few more things. Kendrick Nunn, he did the same thing. He didn't let Rondo beat him baseline at all. Picked up a couple of fouls, but he didn't like it.
Yeah.
It's just they have the potential and opportunity to do this. It's really going to be on them to bring it again in the next game. But also said, don't let Davis get 15 in the first quarter. That's the true. Next one.
That's true.
They can't let those guys get off and get confident early, because once they get confident and they start raining, it will hurt them. So they need to come out with the next game with another 1-2 punch to start and get up again 10 points and just leave it there.
Yeah, I don't think it's coincidental that Davis has a bad game and Rondo's numbers. Rondo didn't have a particularly good game either today, and it's a marked difference from game 2 where Rondo poured in 16 points, 4 rebounds and 10 assists, and today it was 4 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals. Rondo will always bring it, but in terms of his competitiveness, but today's numbers mirror AD's lack of numbers as well. And I don't think it was a coincidence that those two having good rapport when they're on the court. The Lakers' loss transpires into a poor showing by both those players. I don't think it's coincidental at all.
No, and the Lakers also started the first quarter with 10 turnovers. They had 10 in game 2.
Yeah.
As a total, they had 10 in the first quarter, so they were already at a loss there. Their plus minus was heavily negative. The amount of turnovers that they had, it was silly for them to have that many turnovers. It starts you out poorly. And they started the game well. They had a lob to start the game to Dwight Howard. That should set you onto a good path, but they went negative after that. Yeah,
no, there's something definitely there that they've got to work on. No doubt they will. They've got 2 days to address these issues before the next game, and they'll be back, and they've got good coaching staff there, led by Vogel and Jason Kidd. So it's going to be interesting how they do respond, and how Miami carries the momentum forward. Because when, like you mentioned, Coach, when Jimmy's barking at LeBron, saying that they're in trouble, I don't think he just meant for this game. He was referring to, getting in their heads for the series. And it was a big call by him, and he didn't hide it. He was basically looking at LeBron when he was saying it. So it's got to be interesting.
And all bite. He had a big bark and they were biting. So
yeah.
They need to come out in the next game and really hit first. Because you've beaten the Lakers now, so you've sort of put your hand up and said that we're here.
Yep.
And you don't need to. That's what Denver did to the Lakers, and it didn't. Did the next game? It didn't bode well for the Nuggets. So you want to hit first in this next one.
Yeah, that's it.
And hard.
That's it. Because can you imagine a locked series? That means both teams. 2 is the number. 2 more wins is the number, and
that is it.
I think as basketball fans, we all love a tussle, and we all love the back and forward that comes with NBA Finals series. And with like you, I'm looking forward to the next game, and I'm sure it's going to be an all-out slugfest. So I can't wait to talk about the NBA Finals again with you soon, Coach. But before we wrap up today's episode, some developing news on the coaching front that happened since our last recording. Doc was unemployed, but not for long. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on that, mate?
He was unemployed for 4 days. He had a job in 4 days. It was unbelievable.
Unbelievable, right?
Unbelievable. He's moving himself to the back to the east.
Yeah.
Going to Philly. That's a big one.
City of brotherly love, yeah.
The city of brotherly love. And the other one was Billy Donovan signing in Chicago.
Yeah.
Out of OKC into Chicago. That's going to be good for them in their program because he's
Yeah.
actually a good guy. Chris Paul spoke highly of him today. When he was in the on the screen in the bubble, he spoke highly of Billy Donovan. Said he's a great guy and great coach. So Chicago pick up a win there as well.
Yep. Do you like that move by Chicago?
I like it.
Let's touch on the Chicago move first. Yeah. You like it?
Yep, I like it. Yep, I like it. Billy Donovan, good guy. Florida Gators college basketball. Did a great job with their program. I think he had Joakim Noah as well when he was down there in Florida. So he did a great job at OKC this year. Yep. They went highly above what they were planned to get, and he just continued to push on. And I think he'll do that in Chicago as well.
Do you think there'll be big changes in Chicago now that he's coming in?
Yes, they may do some work in the off season.
Yep.
So.
Any predictions? Who are you building around? Do you keep Levine? Do you keep Levine? I think he's the cornerstone.
I think he's the cornerstone, and you start feeding around him.
Yep.
So I would definitely build around him. I think they need another, Robin to your Batman. Yeah. They need that. They need that to come in. So who that will be? That's what their money situation is like, what their cap is. And if they keep guys that they've got currently that are on contracts.
That's right. That's right. Because Laurie Markkinen was talking about leaving.
Yep.
This Wendell Carter Jr.'s had some issues injury-wise. Chris Dunn, whether or not he's on the out, we'll see. And they've still got Kobe White. So
Kobe White as well. Yep.
They've got some good young pieces. How they all fit in, we'll see. I think the coach, it'll be a marked, more happier environment, I think, than running wind sprints with old school coach there from this time last year. So
yeah,
it'll be certainly interesting how the players respond to the new coach. And good luck to Billy and the Chicago Bulls. I know there's a lot of Bulls fans out there. Hoping that the Bulls turn it around and make a run in the playoffs with their core young squad, because they do have some really interesting pieces there in Chicago. Now, the big one, Philly, title East perennial, favorite, potential title contender for next season. How do you see the move of Doc going to Philly, and whether or not a lot's going to change?
I'd hope he doesn't change things too much.
Yep.
I think if he may want some things to change. The big one was always Ben Simmons. Doc can run him at the point, or maybe play him at the power forward like he was in the bubble. That wasn't a bad move, having him in the 4 spot and another ball carrier.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they keep Simmons or where they go and trade. There's a big contract that they need to get rid of.
Yeah.
$236 million. That's a big contract to get out of and move. But then you can trade it for someone else. I think Doc will do a good job there.
Yeah.
He'll definitely keep people in line. Brett Brown sort of was on that point of being mate to coach. Doc won't take any of that. If Embiid starts to throw his toys out of his pram, he may hear a lot about it.
Yeah, I don't think Doc will suffer too much of Embiid's foreshadowed whining and his carry on
tantrums,
and his carry on. So look, Doc certainly has the pieces there to make a competitive team. I think they're missing a shooter. JJ came out during the week that the Philly fucked up by not bringing him back. Harsh words, but in hindsight, true. They were lacking that outside presence, that 3-point presence, and the play. What will be interesting is Tobias is now reunited with Doc, and Tobias had a great season before it got traded.
Yep.
And Tobias now coming into his prime of his career now, boatload of money, big expectations of him to perform well, given his standing in the team in terms of his financial standing and what the team's obviously invested in him, and what he can produce next season, whether or not he can take his game even further, because he's a good player. He's a very good player. Now, getting up to the next stage, where does he become close to a LeBron-esque player that can do it all? Because he's certainly got the size, certainly has the speed, certainly has the skill, certainly has the shooting, to bring it and make it, bring it all together to be that LeBron, Kawhi-esque player. I'm very intrigued to see, and whether or not Doc can do that for him.
I am too. If he can get into an all-star team, that would be a thing for him next year. That just shows that he's on the way up, especially in his stats. And I agree with you. He needs to just build. He has all the facets that he has.
Yep.
And maybe reuniting with Doc, it might put him in the right spot. And with JJ making that point during the week of Philly messing up, I mean, Doc's there now, and JJ played for Doc as well.
Yeah, that's it. And look,
reunite them.
Yeah, that's it. And look, I'm very keen to talk, pre-season ball and make our predictions about, the playoff 8 for both conferences. But we're not there yet, because we've still got a final series to go and a lot to talk about in the coming episodes. And we've got a draft
to talk about as well.
That's it.
Plenty of things.
But first off, game in 2 days. The Lakers v Heat. Heat going to roll in with the momentum in the next game. And shout out to our listeners and viewers out there in the Intertron land. Thanks for your continued support of our passion project here at the Shooters Roll. We do appreciate your likes and follows. Tell your friends to get on board, because this is the tip of the elite of the teams playing off now in the NBA Finals, and get the conversation rolling and join us in our conversation. Tell us when we're not doing it so good. We look forward to a little bit of constructive criticism too on our end. So thanks for all your follows and your likes and your continual feedback about our show. So until next time, thanks a lot, Coach, for joining.
No, thank you. It was appreciated. Wednesday, 12 o'clock. We're ready to go.
Bring the heat, baby. Bring the heat.
Bring the heat. The heat is on.
Until next time, we're the Shooters Roll, made by fans for the fans. Catch up.